with Dan Gable and the Dan Gable Museum. And Dan, talk a little bit about what's going on this weekend. Big weekend for the museum, obviously, with the national duels in town. Just a lot going on.
Well, we just kind of a new era with the museum here in Waterloo, Iowa. I have a new executive director, and Kyle Klingman is that new executive director. He's taken over for Mike Chapman. Mike Chapman retired at the end of October, and Mike did a lot of great things for this museum. He actually established it, and Waterloo helped him build it twice. Had it in Newton for a while, but we're looking to do a lot of things with this museum, but we're also looking to do a lot of things with our sport. And there's all kinds of possibilities that we're looking at to try to go to a new level. I don't mean just with this museum, but I mean with our sport. And if you don't have those big goals up there, then we're just going to stay where we're at. We're going to move forward maybe a little bit, but we need to move forward more in leaps and bounds. And this can be an entity that can help that leap. And with that in mind, we're talking about thinking about things that are outside of the box. And by that I mean not crazy things, but good things that are solid with good people that will give us an opportunity to make the newspapers more, make the news, get on ESPN, get on USA Today, just get our sport to a higher level, and that's what it's all about. The National Wrestling Coaches Association, USA Wrestling, a lot of groups have maintained a sport that has had to struggle at times, but we need to even go beyond that and get rid of that word struggle and go to a level that we're more mainstream. And with that in mind, it's going to take a lot of work, but this is an entity that can definitely help that issue.
I see Leroy Smith's here from the Hall of Fame, and I know that's an area you guys have talked about, just working with Leroy and getting a lot of good things going with them.
Well, it's again, it's kind of like, are there egos involved to the point where we can make things happen? I don't think Leroy has a big ego. I don't think I do, even though we're good names in the sport. We've had probably our conflicts over times at one time or another. But to get together for the so-called better of the sport, if that's the right thing to do, then that's what we should do. If it's not the right thing to do, then we don't want to hurt the sport, and then we should back off. But right now, I don't think the sport can go to a new level unless we more solidify the people in our sport that can help influence where we end up. So I think we're going to have competition between a lot of teams, competition between a lot of companies in our sport, and I think we need to solidify the entities that really can work together to help us go to that new level.
Seems like you've always got about a million things going on. You're pretty busy this weekend then with you can be over at the national duels checking some of that out.
Oh, definitely going to be over there at UNI and watching it. I think there's some really going to be great wrestling. I don't think all the teams are totally healthy, but I think it's going to make it very interesting. I'm doing some of the television with Iowa Public Television and the Big Ten Network, those things from the NWCA. So I'll do a little broadcasting with Tim Johnson. So we're going to get it out there to at least the Iowa people, and we'll get it to some of the other places across the country.
You're seeing a lot of kids coming in here today from some of the smaller schools that are competing. I mean, how great of an opportunity is that for some of these kids from maybe not, programs that aren't big name programs?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for everybody, myself, meeting these kids. You know what? When I look at these kids, I know they're wrestlers. They're not going to stick out in some other way. They're going to stick out to me. I can walk in the door and I know who they are. I don't know individually, but I do meet them. But it's beyond just D3 and D2 and the small NAIAs and the women's wrestling, the club system. D1 needs to be here because D1, we're the ones level that really hasn't been adding sports, adding wrestling to it. We've added quite a few of D3s and NAIAs and D2s, junior colleges, but D1 needs to maintain what they have and build. So, we need to fire them up as well. So they got to become more of a part. The coaching staff and the kids got to come and see some of the history and see what is down here in Waterloo, Iowa at this Hall of Fame. So it can be a good thing.
It's been a year since the reopening after the flood. I mean, just how proud are you that this thing's still going? Because I know there was some worry there that may not happen after the flooding.
Well, I'll tell you, when I was pretty proud to have this thing open in my hometown. They've been trying to honor me for a long time, and this thing was built, it was up, and then it was destroyed all in the same year. And I said, well, that didn't last too long. But you know, I kind of jumped to conclusions there because I really didn't think about who actually had built this place. And a community that was behind the sport, a community that was behind Dan Gable, and because of that, they stepped right up again and put it right back in place. We had to use some funds from the government. We had to do a lot of work with the Chapmans and a lot of other people, but you know what? It's back built. It's even better than ever, and we want to continue in that direction, better than ever.